Have you ever found yourself in the middle of a crowd, on the subway, or on a busy avenue, feeling like no one truly sees you? In big cities, where everything is urgent and every second feels scheduled, a peculiar kind of silence emerges. It's not the silence of sound, but the silence of loneliness. This silence doesn't come from the absence of people, it stems from the absence of connection. It's the silence that settles in when conversations stay at the surface, when eyes pass right through you, and when interactions lose their warmth. This video is an invitation not just to observe this phenomenon, but to reflect deeply on it. We're going to explore how the fast-paced rhythm of metropolitan life contributes to emotional distance, and how this quiet disconnection impacts our mental health. More importantly, we will seek meaningful ways to break this cycle. Even in the midst of towering buildings, endless traffic, and buzzing screens, there is still space for real human connection. And perhaps the very first step is not outward, but inward, caring for the mind so that it can open up again to others. We live in cities that never sleep. Traffic jams stretch for miles like arteries under pressure. Neon lights glow through the night and phones buzz at all hours. Technology, once heralded as the solution to distance and disconnection, has in many cases deepened our sense of solitude. In this new landscape, time has become a commodity, and emotional silence has become part of our everyday environment. Our schedules are packed, and distractions are everywhere. Even when we're not physically rushing, our minds often are. We stay in motion, constantly stimulated but rarely present. We scroll, we text, we check updates, but somewhere along the way we've lost the habit of truly engaging. We've become strangers to one another, and sometimes even to ourselves. What's particularly striking is that this loneliness doesn't only affect those who live completely alone. Even when surrounded by millions of people, something vital can still be missing. The daily rush has transformed human interaction into something transactional. A quick good morning, a distracted nod, a thumbs-up emoji in place of real conversation. We're left with fewer moments of genuine listening, fewer chances for emotional presence, and less room for empathy. The city races forward, but our relationships lag behind. And in that gap, isolation finds its home. Recent research confirms what many feel but rarely express. Adults in urban environments are more likely to suffer from chronic loneliness, anxiety, and depressive symptoms. What's most concerning is how often these signs go unnoticed. In a world obsessed with performance and productivity, distress often wears a mask. People push through their pain because they think it's just part of modern life. But emotional suppression has consequences. When we deny loneliness, we deny a basic human need, the need to feel seen, valued, and connected. And so, without even realizing it, we grow accustomed to a kind of emotional numbness. We begin to accept that loneliness is just a natural part of adulthood or city life. We downplay our discomfort and convince ourselves that it's normal, but it's not. Emotional disconnection takes a real toll in our minds, our bodies, and our communities. The absence of connection can be loud in its own way. It can manifest as a lingering feeling of not belonging, of being out of sync with the world around you. It's subtle, but it shapes your inner landscape more than you might expect. Urban loneliness isn't just about lacking company. It's a layered experience with psychological, social, and even cultural roots. It often begins with frayed family ties, relentless work schedules, or the overwhelming competitiveness of big city life. Sometimes it's sparked by social media, where everyone appears constantly connected, except you. This is one of the cruelties of our modern world. We are connected digitally, but disconnected emotionally. Our online lives are fast, curated, and surface level. We see updates and photos and feel like we're in touch, but this familiarity is deceptive. It's not intimacy, it's information. Real connection requires depth, vulnerability, and presence. And these are becoming rare commodities. It's no wonder that, despite being on all the time, people feel so alone. We've created a world where being busy is praised, but being vulnerable is avoided. We communicate more, but understand less. The more time we spend plugged in, the less time we spend truly connecting. A hug, a long conversation, an unhurried walk. These simple moments now feel like luxuries. When emotional bonds weaken, the body feels it too. Loneliness shows up in many ways: insomnia, chronic fatigue, irritability, anxiety, and even physical aches. Over time, this state of emotional disconnection can spiral into more severe conditions like clinical depression, burnout, or self-isolation. What's tragic is that many people don't recognize these symptoms for what they are. They blame themselves for not managing life better, instead of understanding that they're lacking meaningful support and human connection. The implications are broader than just mental health. Numerous studies have shown that chronic loneliness increases the risk of cardiovascular disease, suppresses the immune system, and even reduces lifespan. That makes social disconnection not just a personal struggle, but a public health crisis. So how do we begin to change this? First step is awareness. By acknowledging the silent impact of loneliness, we create space for new ways of living and relating. We start to question the idea that efficiency and productivity are the only goals worth pursuing. We begin to value something quieter, but equally essential: presence, empathy, and genuine human interaction. We're surrounded by screens at home, at work, even while eating or walking down the street. Technology was supposed to bring us closer, and in some ways it has, but in many others, it has created a false sense of connection. We watch stories, like posts, comment with emojis, but too often, this is where it stops. Real conversations are replaced by short messages. Depth is lost in favor of speed. It's easy to think we're close to our loved ones just because we follow their lives online. But knowing what someone ate for dinner or where they went on vacation isn't the same as truly knowing how they feel. This illusion of closeness can actually deepen the sense of isolation. Worse still, constant digital exposure can fuel toxic comparison. Everyone else's life seems happier, more successful, more vibrant. We scroll through curated images and start to believe we're falling behind. This creates a dangerous cycle of inadequacy and self-doubt. The result? A quieter kind of loneliness, the one that makes you feel like you're the only one struggling, even when you're not. Even when we meet in person, our phones are always nearby. A device on the table is enough to interrupt a conversation, to steal our focus, to weaken connection. Being present doesn't just mean being there physically. It means being emotionally engaged, fully attentive, and open to the moment. Ironically, the tools meant to connect us are often the very things that keep us apart. That's why we need to relearn how to use technology in a balanced, intentional way. It's not about rejecting the digital world, but about remembering the value of real-world connection. No text can replace a warm hug. No like can match a deep conversation. Cities are becoming more efficient by the day. Smart traffic lights, drone deliveries, facial recognition, all designed to save time. But where do people fit in? Where is the space for conversation, for laughter, for human warmth? Urban planning is often focused on flow and function, but it can forget about the soul of a place. Benches are replaced with parking spots. Street performers are pushed out by noise regulations. Community spaces shrink while high-rise buildings grow. And with them, the feeling of community fades. We pass neighbors without knowing their names. Public spaces become silent zones. People live side by side, yet worlds apart. And all of this has consequences. Mental health declines when social support disappears. Stress increases when people feel isolated. Cities become places of silent suffering, masked by crowds and noise. So maybe it's time to redefine what makes a city truly smart. A smart city should not only optimize systems, it should foster connection. It should invite us to slow down, to talk, to look each other in the eye. It should make space for people, not just processes. The good news is that change doesn't require massive revolutions. It starts small. A smile in the hallway. Asking someone how they really are. Making time to call a friend instead of just texting. These little acts of presence have ripple effects. They create warmth in cold places. They remind us that, even in a crowd, we are not invisible. Building stronger communities can begin in the places we already occupy. Workplaces, neighborhoods, schools. We can form emotional support groups, host open conversations, or simply check in with those around us. Listening is powerful. So is being listened to. When we create these moments, we reduce loneliness not just for ourselves, but for others too. It's important to recognize that healing emotional disconnection is not just an individual task. It's a collective one. Each of us contributes to the culture of our cities. And if we all choose to prioritize presence over performance, empathy over efficiency, we can begin to shift the atmosphere. In closing, reflecting on loneliness in big cities is really about rediscovering balance. Loneliness is not a personal failure. It is a symptom of systems that value speed over connection. But cities don't have to be lonely. They can be vibrant, alive, and deeply human. Jode, the future is not set. It is shaped by our daily choices. The way we treat each other, the time we give, the words we share. All of it matters. When we make the effort to connect even in small, simple ways, we build a world where no one has to feel invisible in a crowd again. And that, more than anything, is what makes a city worth living in.